Hey guys, welcome to a new video. Like, comment and subscribe if you enjoy. Without any further interruptions, enjoy the What If. Chapter 4. You understand you are not to leave my supervision. The Anbu agent asked. He truly felt silly escorting a pre-adolescent licensed shinobi to a playdate. But Tenzo was loyal and didn't ask questions. The pair walked toward their destination, Tenzo with picnic basket in hand. He hated how his senpai was clearly laughing at him when he arrived to pick up Naruto. Hi, and this is just an informal get-together, you are meant to have fun. Hi, did Oji-san give you answer about my request? He said you may increase your maximum to 30. I requested 40, Naruto said evenly. And you will get 30. Tenzo watched as the small blonde rubbed his chin in thought. That's fine, I only needed 25 so I still come out ahead. Oji-san should haggle more. Tenzo had to stop himself from laughing at that. If the blonde knew how much negotiation went into this arrangement he wouldn't say that. Tenzo had literally seen less thought go into treaties. Everything was on the table, the location of the meet, the duration, pre-planned activities. Even the contents of their lunch had to be agreed upon by Sandaime-sama and Danzo-sama. It took 4 days and 5 meetings to finalize this. I'll inform Sandaime-sama of your observation. The Anbu didn't expect much a reaction and the calm head nod he received fell within expectation. He'd seen the boy interact with the Hokage enough to get a feel for Naruto's disposition. He rather liked how generally calm but inquisitive the boy could be. Not a fan of how interested he is in sex, especially given Kakashi-senpai as his sensei, but it could be worse. At least Jiraiya-sama isn't his master. Unbeknownst to the pair they were being watched by the 2 men that arranged the meet. Danzo chuckled at Naruto's observation. It was very Tobirama-sensei of him to remark a party didn't maximize their advantage. It also raised a question. Can he actually maintain 40 shadow clones? He can maintain significantly more, we both worked out the math a while ago. Then why limit him? Concerns about brain trauma? No. The regenerative powers of the Kyuubi would mean he could handle a large influx of information. Worst case scenario would be a bout of unconsciousness and we worked out a method to avoid that. Then why are you limiting the boy? More of that accursed softness. I limit him because I believe Naruto is going to change this village and the world. But we are both old enough and wise enough to know the world doesn't like being changed rapidly, especially by a child. Doubly for this child. I want him to build relationships and a reputation so when he does turn the world on its ear our shinobi can handle it and will be there for him. I'll admit becoming certified when he did is impressive, but he only beat Kushina by 2 years. No, he beat Kushina by almost 4 years. You can't be certified and not be a shinobi, and I wasn't going to let him graduate early. 10. He was 10, just had recently turned 11 and Kushina was just about to turn 15. And you plan to let him outside the village. He could be promoted to Special Junin right now and head a sealing division. Yes, and it would hurt his development as a shinobi. If Naruto's only true skill was in Fuinjutsu, if all he wanted to do was be a seal master, I'd make him a Special Junin and let him run wild. He wants to be a ninja and getting out to see the world will do him some good. Or put a significant asset in jeopardy which would hurt the village overall. And hiding him away will do what? He's not a machine. Fuinjutsu is just as much an art as it is a science, and an artist needs to be connected to the world. No matter how imaginative he is, if he only has to see past 4 walls he'll constrain himself. The larger his world is, the large he must dream outside of it. Hiruzen argued and Danzo let the matter drop, for now. The pair continued to watch as Naruto arrived at the designated spot, Training Ground 33. A wide open space, thus making it difficult for evasion and ambush. There were only a few trees scattered about and Sai was located under the nearest one, seemingly drawing in a small sketchbook. Tenzo and Naruto walked over to greet the boy, Tenzo providing the introductions. Sai-san, this is Uzumaki Naruto, Genin. Naruto-san, this is Sai, a personal student of Shimura Danzo-sama. Both he and Sandaime-sama have arranged this informal meeting between the 2 of you. I have your lunch here. You 2 are not to leave my supervision, and if you wish to relocate you must clear it with me first. Is this understood? Hi. Tenzo gave Naruto the basket and then shunshined out of sight. Naruto approached Sai, sticking out his hand. Nice to meet you, Sai-san. Pleasure to meet you. Whiskers. Danzo stiffened in Hiruzen's office. For some reason he couldn't break the boy of giving people nicknames. Or commenting on the lack of genitalia of various members of Root. Fu almost gutted the boy once if not stopped by Torun. Insult or nickname? Naruto asked, seemingly unbothered either way. Nickname. It is supposed to establish a rapport with someone. 12 steps to instant friendship. Naruto asked and Sai nodded. I've read that one. I found it limited in its application. Oh, how so? Naruto unsealed a paper and a pencil from his mass storage fuin bead and sat down, waving Sai to do the same. The book suggests giving someone a nickname and it could potentially build a bond, but it depends on the type of nickname as well as the person assigning it and the person being assigned. I've found you have to include relational distance for the idea to work. Naruto then created several triangles, most of them acute but one an isosceles. If the 2 points at the bottom of the triangle represents how close, emotionally, two parties in a given relationship are, then this third point would represent the specificity of the nickname. Naruto spoke and saw Sai nodding along. I'm guessing since these first triangles have the points further away but the top is relatively close, that means if you don't know each other well then a nickname has to be really general. Like, ace or sport. But the last triangle is an isosceles. The closeness of the two members means they can be more specific about the nicknames, even using one that would otherwise be considered offensive. Exactly. I don't mind that you call me Whiskers. I've never had a nickname before, but others might bristle at you doing so when you've only just met. Sai smiled at Naruto's words. What he said did make sense, more than others. Do you read a lot of those kinds of books? I used to, since people confused me, and while it helped a little I was never able to build a grand theory. I've been unsuccessful in that pursuit as well. Have you read Tales Your Body Tells? No. It has a lot about body language and micro-expressions. It doubles as a field guide for Hunter Nin, so the later chapters may not be relevant. I'll have to check it out. Back in Hiruzen's office, Danzo visibly relaxed when he saw Naruto's response to Sai's nickname. Then they watched as Naruto started getting analytical over self-help books. Danzo was familiar with the concept of relational distance and could only say one thing. You are such a geek, you nerd. And where is that coming from? Relational distance. You would introduce a child to social geometry. He asked me for suggestions about shinobi tactics and multi-party disputes. Besides, at least I didn't give him a field manual for Hunter Nin. What's your ideal gift for a newborn? An odachi. At least odachi are cool, unlike those sticks you used to play with. Danzo said, annoyed. He'd never give a baby a bladed weapon. Maybe a dagger once, they're like 2 or 3 but not a baby. I put the fear of God into student and enemy alike with those sticks. Hiruzen not liking that response. He was a legendary bow staff wielder and Enma's staff form was hard as cut diamond. The Anbu and Root in attendance simply couldn't believe their respective bosses were bickering like children while the children sounded like old men. Girls, increasingly. The older men heard Naruto say and realized they'd missed out on something. I don't know when it happened, but I find myself increasingly interested in them. For the purposes of procreation. Sex does play a role, but it's more. If I'm going to be in a crowd of people, I think I'd prefer there be more girls than boys. This may require further study. Sai responded. I agree. My Junin sensei, Hitaki Kakashi-san, lent me a book that might help. It's called Ika Ika Paradise. He seems to swear by it. I may have to request Danzo-sama provide me a copy. Back at Hiruzen's office, Danzo had thoughts on Sai's future request. There's no way I'm buying that boy porn. I'm surprised you let your Junin share it with their pre-adolescent students. Do you really think I suspected I'd have to tell Kakashi not to give Naruto-kun a smut book? Why wouldn't you? You're a pervert. Jiraiya's a pervert. Minato probably would have been a pervert if Hurricane Kushina didn't scare him straight. And Kakashi is a pervert that's too lazy to do anything perverted. Hell, I think the majority of the reason he reads those books in public is because it takes too much effort to go home. You're too controlling and uptight. Besides, Naruto is curious. Maybe Kakashi thought the book would embarrass him and he'd drop it. You don't even believe that, said Danzo. As the old men continued to bicker, they saw the boys divulge their various interests and learned they had a mutual interest in art. Naruto also seemed intrigued by Sai's ink-based jutsu. Naruto shared he was a Fuinjutsu user, though Hiruzen suspected Danzo already told the boy that. Naruto also stated he hoped Kakashi would expand his meager jutsu arsenal. Danzo scoffed. Why weren't you giving him jutsu? He has the chakra for it. He never asked, and I wasn't in a rush to give an academy student even more abilities than he was gaining. Besides, his Fuinjutsu was supposed to offset his lack of ninjutsu. I didn't know he was going to be a master of the field so young. It's still a waste of potential. I agree. I often think how far he could take my combination jutsu technique in conjunction with his Fuinjutsu. And yet you do nothing. Do you, at least, know his elemental alignment? Danzo asked, and he saw Hiruzen have an intense moment of debate. Wind, bastard, it's wind. And before you say anything, I know you're going to use your root to slip him some techniques, but be responsible. Could you imagine what he can do if he supercharges a great breakthrough? It's the only thing I can imagine. A little property damage would be good for Kino. It'll let him exercise his talents. Just be responsible. You mean be a suffocating old hen? No, I mean don't try to teach him vacuum manipulation like, oh I don't know, tomorrow. I am capable of restraint. I just know pressure forms diamonds. Hiruzen only grunted in response. The boys ate their lunch of tempura fish, pickled vegetables, steamed rice, miso soup and red bean buns. You really should not have included those buns, it's empty calories. You smoke all the time. Besides, who can begrudge someone a dessert? If Naruto-kun wants something sweet, he knows to eat fresh fruit. Hiruzen said, ignoring the jibe about his smoking entirely. And you call me controlling? Half the root I did have came when you banned sweets in the Anbu cafeteria. You cannot be serious. Hiruzen, I have spreadsheets, I can show you. Well, I still say it's a waste. Back to the boys, they had just finished their lunch and were washing it down with some green tea. They sat in silence for a bit before Naruto had an idea. Sai, you said you use a tanto. Hi, do you have it with you? Would you care for a spar? Yes, I think that would be acceptable. Sai retrieved his tanto, sealed in his bag and returned. Naruto had already retrieved his rattan and fused them into a quarterstaff. It appeared as if it were always one solid piece due to Naruto's Fuinjutsu. This way no one could simply break the staff apart with blunt force. The boys took their stances, Sai holding the tanto in front of him in his right hand and his feet apart and knees slightly bent. Naruto had his staff resting on his shoulders behind his head, appearing to be completely open. Simultaneously the boys charged at each other. When Sai was within range, Naruto swung the staff horizontally, taking full advantage of its reach. Sai blocked the strike with his tanto, absorbing the blow without issue, but wasn't prepared for Naruto to close the distance and unleash a palm strike to his stomach. The root ninja rotated out of the path and attempted to retaliate with his tanto swinging downward, only for it to be stopped by the metal staff. Sai watched as Naruto, now on his knees, spun to the outside of Sai and struck at his shoulder. Sai rotated once again and backed off. Naruto returned to his feet and started spinning his staff. The boys engaged once again. Hiruzen and Danzo both enjoyed watching the spar. Hiruzen hadn't realized Naruto was so adept at Ubu's style of staff wielding. He was also impressed at Sai's use of the tanto, being able to minimize his disadvantaged reach. The boys were becoming increasingly acrobatic. Danzo groaned when Naruto propped himself up with the staff behind him and kicked Sai in the chest. Oh, you remember that technique? Yes, you were quite the monkey, Hiruzen. Twisting, turning, ducking and dodging, the boys were relentless. The spar stopped when Naruto won, Sai not knowing the staff could be separate pieces and Naruto landing some well-timed strikes because of it. He sealed his weapons back and helped Sai return to his feet before wiping some of the sweat from his brow. Just as they finished, Tenzo returned, a signal that their meeting had reached its duration. That was, I believe they'd call it fun. Sai observed. I agree. Would you like to do that again? Or well, I'm open. I wouldn't mind sparring again or some other activity. Cool. I guess we should keep arrangements between Oji-san and Danzo-san for the time being. That sounds prudent. Well, I'll see you later, Whiskers. Indeed, Sai. Unbeknown to any of the parties, Naruto and Sai's playdate had another observer. Jiraiya returned early that morning, not alerting anyone to his presence. He wanted to get a feel for his godson. Jiraiya felt the boy was somewhat reserved, but he knew Minato could be as well, so he resolved himself to open the gaki up a bit. He smiled when he heard Naruto was not only interested in girls but seemed to prefer their company in general. He'd make him a super pervert like no other. As the Anbu and Naruto were nearing the village proper, Jiraiya decided to make his entrance. Summoning a large toad, and thus generating a lot of chakra smoke, he bellowed. The envy of men, the desire of women. The strongest of the Sannin and acknowledged master of the toad arts. The legendary super pervert, the amazing and humble shinobi himself. I am Jiraiya. When the smoke cleared, Jiraiya was on top a large orange toad as he stood in a kabuki pose. Tenzo was annoyed at the toad sage's antics. No one could tell what Naruto thought. That was a very elaborate introduction, do you practice it? Jiraiya fell off his toad with a sweat drop, assuming Naruto was being sarcastic. Once he got back to his feet, he took a good look at Minato's near mirror image. The boy met his gaze with no problem, as if being in front of a Sannin wasn't remarkable to him in the least. Well, do you? No, gaki, I don't practice it. Oh, it was impressive. More so that you can just do it. I'm Uzumaki Naruto. It's a boring introduction though. Jiraiya, once again, assumed Naruto was being sarcastic and was sulking internally for coming off lame to his godson. Naruto was wondering if he should work on his introductions. He actually liked Jiraiya's whole thing. Jiraiya-sama, welcome back. Thank you, Anbu-san. I'm actually here to report into sensei. Figured I'd take the gaki with me as we have business. Then I will leave him in your care, spoke Tenzo, followed by him sunshining away. As we walk, why don't you tell me a little about yourself? Since you sought me out, I will assume Oji-san provided my professional information. Jiraiya nodded. Naruto continued, I like reading and doing new things. I like nature and exploring it when I'm not training. I have a plant named Uki-san. My best friend is Hyuga Hinata. I like Iruka-sensei but not his reluctance to instill my suggested changes to the Shinobi Academy. I plan to be Hokage. Plan, not want. As it is optional, I assumed my planning to do it implied I wanted to. That's a good point, but you've got to loosen up, gaki. Put some emotion into your voice. Oh, it appears Oji-san has not relayed everything to you. My manner isn't a veneer of professionalism. This is simply how I am. I believe Oji-san calls it muted affect. I'm just not that expressive. Jiraiya frowned at that. How did that happen? Is it something that can be cured? Oji-san, in consultation with Inoichi Yamanaka, believe it was due to my ostracization in early childhood. It affected my development. YWOU, they know. How did they know? They were never supposed to know. Let's speed this up. Gaki, I need to talk to sensei. Naruto complied and the two raced across the rooftops until they reached the Hokage Tower. Naruto took the stairs, as normal, so was delayed. When he arrived, he heard Jiraiya shouting at his Oji-san and slipped into the office. He then put up a silencing barrier so no one else could hear. You have to have some suspects. Give me names, I will make them talk. I said no, Jiraiya, and that is final. I'm not a child anymore and I don't care about your title. Someone screwed with my godson and I will know who it is, and my face will be the last they see before I black them out. You're my godfather. How's that work? Naruto asked, unbothered by the large amount of killing intent being thrown around by the powerful shinobi. Both men turned to see Naruto standing by the door and themselves surrounded by a barrier they hadn't noticed. Shit, yay, gaki. You're named after a character in my first book, Tale of an Utterly Gutsy Shinobi. You parents requested I look after you. I'm sorry I wasn't here, Naruto. It was not because I didn't want to be. Initially, I was only supposed to be gone for a few years to strengthen my spy network, but incidents kept arising and to keep the village safe I needed to be on the move. I truly regret I had to make such a decision and you paid for it. Is all that true, Oji-san? It is, Naruto-kun. Then we're fine. Besides, I don't feel like I need to be fixed. I know I'm not like everyone else, but I'm okay with that. Jiraiya considered Naruto. The boy so easily forgave his absence and accepted himself. It was impressive. Okay, I'll leave it for now, but I do want names, sensei. Now, that's out the way, Gaki, how did you create this seal? Every time I thought I was close it seemed to change. Jiraiya said, retrieving the encrypted message. It's a tri-level seal with the top array scrambling the composition if you took too long to deactivate it. No, Gaki, that can't be possible. I've seen scripts meant to scramble seals. Those elements are tricky to pull apart, but I've got enough experience to do so. And multi-tiered sealing is rare, incredibly rare. It is possible because I did it. It was its on array and it worked on each the other 2 levels individually. You had to undo that array. Not wanting to call his godson a liar, Jiraiya pressed on. Okay, so what were the other 2 levels? The second was a 5-point locking seal, the first was a 2-point. Stop. Gaki. Even an odd number seals interfere with each other. Was this a trick? Can this even be opened? Naruto quirked his right eyebrow at Jiraiya. Hiruzen saw it and interceded. Naruto, unseal the message, please. The Uzumaki nodded and took apart all 3 layers of the seal, easy since he designed it, and showed the message to Jiraiya. Even if you manage to decrypt this, bring your ass back anyway. Hiruzen's smiley face. Jiraiya was confused and not at all amused by his sensei's little joke. None of it made sense. The kid was flouting long-held Fuinjutsu rules. There must be a mistake and Naruto was just confused. Hiruzen saw Jiraiya's skepticism and wanted to avoid any unpleasantness. Naruto-kun, show Jiraiya how you crafted and created the seal. Naruto nodded and then looked around for an empty, flat surface. He saw an end table in the corner, beside his Oji-san, and brought it to the front of his Oji-san's desk, between the 2 chairs. Naruto unsealed a calligraphy brush from his mass storage bead and began to draw an intricate seal. Jiraiya watched fondly, recalling how Kushina enjoyed the process of actually drawing seals. Minato preferred to memorize every detail so he could materialize it through chakra writing. It was a study in contrast, as it was likely one of the few areas where she was slow and deliberate, whereas Minato was about speed. It took less than 2 minutes for Naruto to be done, the signal being when he pumped chakra into the newly created seal. Sit down and place your hand on the seal. Pump some chakra into it and don't fight the feedback, Naruto said neutrally. Jiraiya remained skeptical but did as was requested. Jiraiya immediately felt chakra invade his system but resisted the urge to dispel it. Moments later he saw what he could only describe as a black screen. Until Naruto started speaking about his seal. Then Jiraiya saw an illustration of each array and how Naruto linked them. The Toad Sage's head was spinning. Never had he seen a seal like the one Naruto used to explain the seal that had stumped him. The kid was throwing out advancements like it was an everyday thing, as if he didn't understand how revolutionary creating a process to merge even and odd seals really were. After seeing the encryption seal put together, Jiraiya couldn't find the words. His godson was a genius and potentially didn't know it. It took a moment but he found his tongue and spoke. Hey, Gaki, how about you get out of here but we grab some dinner tonight? I find that acceptable. Bye, Oji-san. Later, Aerodana. Hiruzen belly laughed at the nickname and Naruto was gone before Jiraiya could even respond. Forgetting that issue, for now, Jiraiya turned to his sensei. He's a genius. In disbelief. I'm aware, Hiruzen said dryly. Sakura Haruno was not experiencing the shinobi career she thought she'd have, even this early on. While she didn't plan to have grand adventures, yet, she certainly didn't think she'd spend her days doing chores. She hadn't gotten any closer to Sasuke-kun. Her sensei hasn't taught her anything. And she spends much of the day sore because some sadist works her to the bone at 5 a.m. If she had to rank her displeasure, her morning sessions would top the list. It isn't just that the exercises are hard, as she can admit she hadn't taken the physical aspects as seriously as she should have and needed to catch up to her teammates. But they are taxing. Naruto's morning run has him moving from trees to running on water, then the ground and back, full out and no breaks for an hour. She didn't even know you could walk on water. She was too embarrassed to ask Naruto to teach her, so she had to modify the run. But that gets at why she dislikes the workout. It was arrogant of her, but she really never thought much of Naruto. He made an awkward attempt to befriend her around the time she was finally getting accepted, so she spurned him. His grades and constant scolding of Iruka-sensei was proof she was correct to do so. Even when those things changed, she hadn't changed her opinion. Being assigned on a team with him, she just knew she was the all-around better ninja, even if he were better at the practical stuff. She looked down on him. And yet, When asked by Kakashi, Naruto didn't hesitate to help her train, to share his training with her. He was stronger and smarter than she'd realized via the conversations they'd share. Once she stopped trying to put Naruto in a box, she found him to blunt but sincere and supportive. She wasn't exactly overflowing with friends, as she and Ino had a falling out over their mutual crush. She missed having that kind of support, and it shames her to think she gave up on having it because she feared alienation. Sakura never considered herself shallow or easily swayed by a crowd, but she had to reconsider a lot of things. If her rejection of Naruto was due to the flimsiest of reasons, then what else in her life had she grown attached to only for her motivations to be puddle deep? Her crush of Sasuke-kun. Her reason for being a kunoichi. Without even trying, Naruto was making her ask some really hard questions, and she didn't want to do that. She wanted to be the smartest kunoichi in class and the second most useful on the team. She wanted to crush on Sasuke with zero complications or questions. Her intellect wouldn't allow her to, though. Not even Inner could force the questions down, sometimes being the one pressing Sakura to answer them. As she made her way to the barbecue restaurant the rookies agreed to meet, she welcomed the distraction. Distraction from being sore, tired, and unfulfilled. Distractions from her having to ask herself what kind of kunoichi did she want to be and how would she achieve it. It was a lot to be placed on the shoulders of a 12-year-old, and Sakura didn't know who to turn to. Kakashi-sensei was aloof. She often wondered if he actively disliked them all. As the thoughts spun in her head, Sakura hadn't realized she'd made it until her destination, not until a familiar voice ripped her out of her reverie. "Hey, forehead, over here." Sakura looked up to see teammate and 10 already seated. She didn't bother to call Ino a pig in retaliation, choosing to just walk over and take a seat. She was too sore and too confused to trade barbs today, something Ino noticed. "Sakura, what's wrong with you? Years of misspent youth coming back to haunt me," she said, and several at the table looked confused, signaling she needed to explain further. "Kakashi-sensei felt my conditioning wasn't where it should be, so he's had me working out with Naruto at 5 in the morning." "Troublesome," the Nara said, summarizing the general opinion on that revelation. "Sakura-san, you said you train with Naruto at such an hour because of your current fitness. I recall Naruto being one of the more physically fit members of our class, so why must he start so early?" "Naruto-kun works out that early anyway. I'm assuming Kakashi-sensei simply had Sakura-san join what Naruto-kun was already doing." "What Hinata said. Where's the rest of your?" Kiba asked. "Sasuke-kun didn't want to attend. Naruto left with an anbu after Kakashi-sensei dismissed us." This perked Ino right up. "Oh, I sense prime gossip material. Give us details." "It isn't nice to gossip about our friends, Ino-chan," Hinata said calmly. Ino paled at the Hyuga heiress's words. "Why, you know what, you're right, Hinata. I was just curious and all." Silly old Ino, being too curious again. Her reaction confused much of the table, but the server arrived to take orders, so the preteens were distracted. As the afternoon continued to pass, the rookie genin spoke about their teams. "Teammate is happy to be with Kurenai and believe they will develop well. Team 10 likes Asuma, but Ino thinks he's a bit lazy." When the meal reached its conclusion, the rookies parted ways, except Ino and Sakura. Though they may not be on the best of terms, they do know each other, so Sakura couldn't miss Ino being so weird in certain moments, normally in a reaction to Hinata. She wanted to get to the bottom of this, so she pulled the blonde into an alley. Ino didn't seem amused at being handled by Sakura. "Ino, what's going on?" Sakura asked with genuine concern. Ino debated playing dumb or denying anything was wrong, but realized her former best friend was reaching out and she could use an objective perspective. "I messed up. The day of our genin exams, Naruto came into the flower shop. I figured I'd mess with him for so boldly propositioning me, flirt a little to fluster him. At some point, I said we were friends and he should call me Ino-chan. I didn't really mean it. He might be a good backup plan, but I really was just screwing with him in retaliation. Well, he got the better of me and I won't go into that." The next morning Hinata approaches with a homemade bento and hugs me. Before I can even let the confusion of that set in, she threatens me. Said since I told Naruto we were friends I better act like it or she'd ruin my pretty face. Then the little psycho kisses me on the forehead, gives me the bento and leaves. I don't think it's psychotic to protect your friend from being played with. That did not come from Sakura. Oh, my precious face, Ino thought. Sakura just stood rimrod straight as the voice was directly behind her. But I can understand why you might be confused. That's okay, it just means we aren't good enough friends yet, Ino-chan. I hope to change that in the near future. Would you like to change that in the future with me? Oh, of course, Hinata. Excellent. I hope you two have a good night, bye. You're screwed, piggy, Sakura said after Hinata left. The rational and the irrational warred within her. She knew what she was feeling was incorrect, but that didn't change anything. Being back here, in this village, in this office, she just wanted to flee. To drink and gamble and forget. The losses, the failures, forget it all. She just wanted to be numb and lost. The air in this room felt thick and heavy. It's so good to see you again, Tsunade-chan. I feared I'd depart from this world before I could. Hiruzen said, hugging his former student. The gesture relaxed Tsunade as she returned the hug. I'm sorry, sensei. It's really hard to be here. I know, dear, I know. But I would not have brought you back without good reason. I know you still have your hemophobia, but Inoichi has agreed to work with you while you set up your training program and whatever else you would like at the hospital. Where is Shizune? At the estate getting settled in. Now, where is this prodigy that is going to change medical technology for generations to come? He'll be here shortly. Tsunade, the boy is as talented as I said, likely more so, but he does have a unique manner. He took over Mito's burden, Tsunade. And someone leaked it to the villagers. From a very early age he was made into a figure of fear and disdain, it affected him. He can be blunt and straightforward, but it is never with the intention of being rude, more so he is overly earnest. He can also come off as unfeeling, that is also untrue. He doesn't process his emotions like others, but he does have them. So, if he does something offense, please don't fly off the handle. Explain it and he'll amend his behavior. I never really thought about who would have to do that after Kushina died. What's his name? Uzumaki Naruto. Quote. Don't freak out. Quote. I truly didn't believe you'd come back and stay because you would have had to stay here. Quote. Could you have truly taken care of him? Quote. Sandaime-sama, Jiraiya-sama and Naruto-kun are here. Thank the sage. Send them in. The godfather and godson pair walked into a tense situation. Naruto laid eyes on Tsunade and thought she might be the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen, and given he thought most kunoichi were attractive, that was saying something. Not really taking heed of the vibe within the room, Naruto spoke. I understand why you based your porn on her, Arodana. What? Tsunade yelled. We're all going to die, I'm going to die, were the thoughts of the Sandaime and the Toad Sage respectively. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, as well as checking out the author on fanfiction.net.